Hello, I'm Alex, and this is the Moog Slim Phatty. It's an analog synth, it's a Moog synth, you know, it sounds awesome. They've got a very kind of raw, juicy, sort of fat sound. And this, you'll probably be aware of the Little Phatty. This is a slimmer version. The Little Phatty had a keyboard and a pitch and a mod wheel. It was a bigger thing, it was a bit more expensive, obviously. So this is that, but just without the keyboard. So you've got USB and MIDI, you just connect any keyboard that you want to it. But it sounds wicked, and it actually has presets. This is obviously one of the coolest things about it. So you can store loads and loads of sound. So tons of people use these on stage. You know, they're reliable, obviously they don't go out of tune, but having presets is key. So let's check it out. So here's the front panel. As you can see, things are divided into sections, and you have a sort of multi-controller basically which actually can control multiple functions. So for example here, you can see if I hit the cutoff and the cutoff is lit up, that shows where the cutoff value is, and I can basically move the dial and eventually they link together. There are different modes to choose how that works. You can have it jump or slowly catch up or whatever you like, but that's the principle. So here I'm controlling cutoff, now I'm controlling resonance, now I'm controlling the keyboard scaling of the filter, and that's how it works. There's this sort of multi-function control, extends to all the 4 dials. So in practice, it's actually quite easy to work with. It means that you can have lots of control and you don't need tons and tons of dials on the front panel. So it keeps the cost down, which is good. So one important point with that though is don't be afraid of the fact that it is a digital sort of memory behind it. You do get proper analog control. There's some very clever stuff going on here. So when you adjust the filter, it's smooth. You don't hear any stepping. So very important to point that out. But yeah, in practice, it's very easy to work with. Here's the presets. So we can bang through these like this. And then yeah, you just adjust the settings. Let's have a look at the back panel now. We have audio out. Very important. Audio in, letting you run things in through the filter, and the overdrive, which we'll come to, so good. There are phone inputs on the back, so you stick headphones into it. CV, and there's control voltage inputs for volume, filter, pitch, and keyboard gate. These are awesome if you've got other analog equipment, maybe other Moog synths, or if you've got the Moog Fogas, or like the EP2 expression pedal. If you have one of those, you can stick it in and you can get expression pedal control. There's loads of other bits and bobs we do that, that can use this basically, so very cool that we have them. MIDI in, out and through. Obviously it receives and sends MIDI with the dials. There are some very cool things you can do with chaining multiple Slim Phattys together and creating a polyphonic synth. This is what you'll need to do that. Power, very important. Every synth must have one. And there's USB as well. Obviously, that's so you can connect it to a computer. If you've got a DAW, then it makes it really easy to control the Slim Phatty via MIDI. You know, send it updates as well. Additionally, there is actually a VST editor which you can buy separately, and that sort of gets controlled through there. So, very important. All right, let's have a go. Okay, so here we go. If we play around a little bit. This is Ripsaw bass, this is preset 1. There are loads of presets, you can also download more online as well. And yeah, let's just play around. Resonance. Ooh, let's add some mod wheel. Ooh, I was using oscillator 2 as a source. Sounds really nasty. Overdrive. Ooh. So this thing is like, it can sound pure, it can sound sweet and clean, or it can just sound pretty like dirty. It's got a kind of, you know, polite, very pretty. But yeah, it can also just tear your face off. One of the coolest things is this overdrive. Now, this is similar, based on the, it's based on a function on the Voyager and the Mini Moog before it, where you would run the headphone out or one of the other channels out back into the synth, creating a sort of feedback loop. And it's actually hardwired in here. You can just turn it on with this. So I'll put it on here and you can just hear the more overdrive. Just makes it sound ridiculous. Love it. So let's have a look at some of the features in detail. You've got preset selection here. Go through all your presets with that. Modulation, obviously that's your LFO. You've got a number of different sources that you can use. So the clock is always shared between them, but you can choose sort of different types of saw. You've got a square, you've got a triangle as well. You can use the envelope, filter envelope here as a source, And very cool, you can use oscillator 2 as a source, which just, you start to get these kind of weird like audio rate modulation. So if you send that off to the filter, and I've got the mod wheel up here on my controller keyboard so that I can hear it, you get that kind of like weird vocal thing. And if we adjust the frequency of oscillator 2, that's going to make these really weird kind of vocal sounds. Bit extreme there, but I mean you can obviously have as much or a little of that as you want. Very cool. So yeah, multiple destinations that LFO can go to, be it, well, LFO or oscillator 2 can go to. Filter, wave shape, which is cool, of the oscillators. It can also, you can route these to oscillator 2 and yeah, to pitch and filter. So quite a lot of modulation options there. Okay, so looking at the oscillator section, you have two. They have individual range selections. They have totally variable wave shapes. So this is like pulse width to saw, triangle. Ooh. And there's a level control, so I can choose how much or little of that as I want. This is the level control for oscillator 2. So now we've got both of them going together, and there's a frequency control, so I can, you know, you can tune them in and out of each other. Sounds cool. There's glide control. You can select it there and choose how fast it glides, and you turn it on here. So a bit more. Good for your sort of wacky sounds. And then there's a sync control to sync the two oscillators together. You get some really nice effects if you start modulating oscillator 2 with that going. I'll try and do that if I can. So amount. Yeah, it just sounds a bit bonkers, but there's a lot of options there. Filter section, obviously Moog filter, we like that. I'll turn the, hang on. So, filter section, we've obviously got the genuine Moog ladder in here. It's currently on 4-pole mode. There is actually a menu option so you can have it on 2-pole if you want a smoother slope. This is the kind of classic sort of response. You've got resonance. Very nice. Notice as well there's no stepping. It just responds. It's analog. There's an analog control, but it will be able to retain that setting in memory if you ask it to. It's very cool. So yeah, nice filter, and this sounds wicked if you run drums through it as well. You know, you put drums through, crunch it, sweep the filter. Sounds great. These controls let you add envelope. The envelope generator here will then control the filter. Keyboard tracking. So if I turn the levels of the oscillators right down. That's just the filter. There's actually no oscillator going on there. That's just the filter actually making a tone, a very pure sine wave actually. So it's good for subs. If you have the filter right down, you can create just the most ridiculous subby sort of bass sounds. Here's the cool thing. This is the overdrive. So I'm turning that sine into a square wave there. Nice. So nice if you give it some modulation as well. Can we do that? Yeah, we can, I think. And then we've got the LFO right here. But this also sounds great if you run drums through it. So if you get one of these, definitely check out the overdrive section. That's a lot of fun to be had. And then finally, envelope generators. This is just an ADSR. You can control the attack of the first one here with that. And then, yeah, it's just pretty straightforward. Volume control, and there's an output button on or off. Why is that there? That's for if you're on stage. So you can actually just turn the output of the synth off, preview through headphones, you know your sound is right, turn it on, and then your Slim Phatty will go out to the PA. So let's mess around with a few more sounds as well. What kind of things can we find? There's some kind of like drum sounds here, you know. Quite cool, analog drum sounds. It's synth, you know, there's a lot of control there. It looks simple, but you can get loads of different sounds out of this thing. So do experiment, you know, it rewards kind of afternoons spent just messing around. You'll get new sounds out of your synth. One of the coolest things that's hidden in this is the arpeggiator function. It's available for every patch. So if we hold down a note, we can engage it, and we can latch it. So that we're hands-free to mess around with the synth. Bit of oscillator too. Speed it up a touch. Yeah, it's totally analog. Obviously, it's just really important to remember that obviously all the control can be automated and recorded. So, you know, all of these knob settings are sending 14-bit MIDI, which you can record into a DAW, send back into the synth. So you can record all your filter sweeps, or you could just send automation into the synth from a DAW or another bit of kit. The LFO will sync to MIDI, it's very important, as will the arpeggiator as well. So it's old school and analog, you know, sonically, but in terms of control, it's totally happy interfacing with the DAW or with other kit you have. So that's the Moog Slim Phatty. It's an amazing synth. It's available now from DV. Give it a go. Thanks so much.